Hello, and welcome to the Embrace Balance, Discover Joy podcast. I'm Amanda Butland, your host and intuitive life coach. Well, welcome to another episode of the Embrace Balance, Discover Joy podcast. Today, my special guest is Brittany Ann Hunter. Brittany Ann, so great for you to be with me today.
Yay, thank you for having me.
Awesome. So I always like to start with a little icebreaker question. Can you share with us what hobby or activity brings you the most joy and why?
Aw, okay. The hobby or activity that brings me the most joy actually lately has been I'm practicing Peter panning on my longboard. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it's where you're able to like just kind of like get your foot on the board and like let the board move that way. It's been something I've been practicing for a long time, and I'm trying to get the muscle memory down. And it's nice to try to be building a new skill with movement, because that I think has been something that was lacking for me for a long time. So yeah,
Oh,
longboarding. Yeah.
awesome. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yay, thank you.
Awesome. So here we're here to talk about coaching. So I would love to sort of hear your coaching journey where,
hmm
as a recipient of coaching and where you are now, because I know you're looking to start being a coach yourself, but can you sort of maybe share your journey and how how you got to look for a coach and work with one and sort of like where
hmm
you are at and how you ended up where you are now?
Okay, so my coaching journey, actually, I'm so sorry. I feel like maybe we should have established this beforehand, but
Oh,
the difference between coaching and therapy.
yeah, so
Yeah.
therapy would be like helping with past healings, and
hmm
coaching would be sort of with a coach who's focused on like the now and the future planning and goal setting and sort of
hmm
like trying to help you, become the uh, most best version of yourself. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think so. I want to touch on kind of both as it relates to my journey, just because I think,
Okay.
yeah, that they're all influential for me. The first time
Yeah.
I actually ever did therapy was I studied abroad in New Zealand, and I didn't have the time of my life that I was expecting. So I literally that was the first time I ever saw a therapist. Like it was paid for by the school and all of this kind of stuff. And this was where I kind of realized that the mentality that I had as I was navigating the world was that there are certain ways things should be, and that if the world and my reality isn't operating as I think it should be, I feel like a failure. I feel like I'm not doing it right. I'm doing it wrong, and all of this kind of stuff. So the first time I ever went to therapy was in 2016, studying abroad in New Zealand. And I was basically told, like, oh, yeah, like, it's okay for you to feel like this experience sucks. And so that was just kind of the first thing, right? Like, it was just to be told that it's okay for things not to go the way that you plan. And then fast forward to 2020 during the pandemic, I actually met with a BetterHelp therapist for a bit. And then I think right now for my brain to kind of just get everything chronologically organized, I'm just going to kind of walk us through that, like the journey of therapy and life coaching chronologically. So 2016, that happened. 2020, I met with a BetterHelp therapist. And at the time, I was in an abusive relationship as well. And even today, if like I had to take a pause to kind of announce that too, right? Like it still feels very strange to say to a degree and all of this kind of stuff. And then eventually I stopped seeing that therapist because we touched into religious trauma, which for me is still to this day a very touchy subject. And for my coaching business is something that I would love to kind of dive more into in like in a gentle manner, because the reason I stopped seeing that therapist was because I felt like my therapist was kind of smack talking Mama Mary, and I was like, ah, that's not okay. So those kinds of things. So I fell away from therapy, and then that's when I started to find life coaching through actually Michelle, the mindset coach on Instagram. She runs something called the Healing Empath Circle. And that was an interesting experience too, because so for me, life coaching was brought up as kind of as you described it, right? Like it's this like X amount of day package for you to kind of like not need to go to therapy anymore, kind of a thing. And I learned a lot of excellent tools from her, I will say. Like I learned how to set up good boundaries. I learned scripts for those kinds of things. And And I was presented with a community of people who were also like in Europe, and that's somewhere that I wanted to move. So that was super cool. But even then, I felt as though I still needed help, or I still felt as though I needed more guidance, I think. And so after that, so now it's 2023, I think last year I moved through 5 BetterHelp therapists again because I was trying to find somebody who was a good match for me. And I literally had one therapist tell me, try to only be sad for 15 minutes a day. Ah, and I was like, oh, interesting. You think if I could control it that way, I'd be talking to you right now? It was just a little bit ridiculous. Um, and then so in more present time now, I've been seeing a therapist through Open Path Collective, which is also something I'd love to recommend for anybody out there who's navigating therapy and might think that it might be too expensive, because Open Path offers sessions for just $40 per session. And even if they're getting their certification, it's only $35. But that therapist, I think, has been helping me a lot. And she's also been someone who has helped me kind of feel encouraged also to pursue life coaching, because she recommended me to a vocal coach. And that vocal coach also does like, her packaging is also as though she does like life coaching and all this kind of stuff to kind of help us find our voice and fight through our systems of oppression and all of this kind of stuff. So yeah, so my experience has been a long and winding journey, I would say.
It has. And I love that you sort of brought in sort of like the whole journey, not just the life coaching journey, but also the journey that you've had with therapy, because I think they often do go really well together, right? So, I mean,
Mhm.
really therapy, like I mentioned, it really focuses on sort of past things, healing past hurts, traumas, and things like that. And then as you heal and you're at a point where like you're like, okay, now I like to focus on sort of the future and what, my future holds. That's when you would transition to the life coach, right? Where then they will help you with that future looking vision of what,
Mhm.
how you see or how you want to see your life. And creating, goals and then working towards those goals to transform your life and to get to the place where you ideally like to be. So thank you for sharing that sort of that whole journey
Yes,
from
thank
from
you.
past and then coming forward and moving now and then to the future. And you mentioned how you want to be a coach yourself, so I'm wondering if you could share a little bit about what that's
Mhm.
journey been like for you, now
Mhm.
knowing that that's something that you would like to do,
Mhm.
what you're doing towards that goal.
Yeah, so it's so funny because I feel as though the universe really supports me in the form of YouTube ads and Instagram ads. So I've been looking at or considering these certain packages. Like there's a lot of AI software out there that's supposed to be super helpful for these kinds of things, but like right now like very recently, like in the past few days alone, I bought this package for growthworks.io, and it really helped me see that you have to have a clear vision as to what the coaching package is meant to be. Like, who's your target audience? Um, what problem are you solving by this specific coaching practice and all this kind of stuff. And so for me, I'm really in the very, very beginning stages. Like, I, I just also went on Canva and made a logo. And so I want my coaching business to be called Bloo Kyanite Cleansing. Because blue kyanite was I very much believe in the power of crystals and all of those kinds of things. And the first time I ever entered a crystal shop or ever bought a crystal for myself, it was a blue kyanite crystal, and that's very much for healing the throat chakra. And for me, my throat chakra, by means of sharing my innermost truest voice and the fullest expression of my innermost truest spirit, has been the hardest thing to do. And so as I'm trying to piece together how the coaching business will come together, the biggest piece of my mission is to help amplify the voices that I think have been quieted for so long. And for me, that means like really wearing proudly the identities within me that feel contradicting. Because for me, before I get all angry, I felt off color my whole life. Have you seen Steven Universe at all?
I have not, no.
Okay, all good. I highly recommend for all of the listeners out there. It's my favorite show. I have like a million tattoos of Steven Universe, but when I say that I'm off color, that's a reference to that show. And the off colors are basically these gems, like because all of the characters are they're they're myth like mystical, magical creatures based on their gem. And the off colors are the gems that came out wrong. Right? Like there's this gem who has like she's a conjoined twin. There's a gem who her special gift is supposed to be fortune telling, but she can only fortune tell about things that have happened in the past. She's Pat Paracha. And so losing my train of thought here, let me collect it. Oh, what I wanted to say is that I want to amplify the voices of the people who have felt off color because for me, I feel I'm Filipino and Black. My dad is half half, my mom is full Filipino. And so I've navigated so much of my life feeling too Black for my Filipino friends or too Filipino for my Black friends. I'm also a queer and recovering Catholic. And that automatically, like when I tell people that, I'm immediately met with, why do you continue to ascribe to a space that is actively trying to persecute you? And that's the thing is that like because I also for a full year during 2019 to 2020, I did a full year of spiritual direction with a Franciscan nun because that was a path that I thought that I was going to pursue. And the reason that that path also ended was because I came out to that nun. During my last session with that nun, I told her that I was gay and the first thing she said was, the first thing you must know is that the Catholic Church absolutely cannot accept that about you. And I shattered. She said, you could try other religions. And I didn't want to because in Catholicism is the belief that true divine essence is accessible to many people. I really feel myself veering off the path here, sorry, or like losing my train of thought. But to bring it back home is to say that I felt so many parts of myself shoved away or quieted or hushed. And that's what I want to do with my coaching business is to amplify those voices. Now more than ever, I need, oh, hang on, getting myself angry here is thinking about the state of America. But now more than ever, I think these are the voices that need amplification, right? Like queer Catholics, people who feel like parts of them are being hidden away. I need us all to stand in our light and amplify the light of each other. I need us to cleanse our throat chakra. I need us, yeah, Bloo Kyanite Cleansing.
I
Yeah.
love that. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. Oh, wow. I mean,
Thank you.
it really speaks to the passion that you have
Mhm.
around why this mission is so important to you. So thank you for sharing,
Thank you.
all of that background. It was super, super vulnerable. And so I thank you for sharing that. And just I love the mission that you have for your coaching business. So I'm so excited for you to start working on that. So
Thank
I
you.
know you can help so many people with their voices
Yeah.
because yeah, there's a lot of people out there who don't feel like they have a voice or are afraid to speak their voice. So thank you.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you for being so supportive. This, like I said, it's so brand new. I still feel very isolated in this too. Like I'm not very much around people who take interest in anything related to this kind of stuff, mental health or otherwise. So thank
Mm.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And just, sharing this with, our audience and just, bringing awareness to this topic because it isn't something that's really spoken about a lot, right? And so
Hmm.
to be able to have this out there for people to listen to who may be experiencing the same thing or may feel like they don't have a voice, that they know that there are others like that, right?
Yes.
And there are people that they can connect with.
Hmm. Yeah, I feel on the verge of tears. Absolutely. I do it for them. I do it for us. The off colors. The
Yeah.
beloved banished children of Eve is I make a reference to Catholicism, right?
Mm.
So, yeah. Just grounding in here too.
Yeah, of course. I'll have to check out that show. I have not seen it, so.
Highly recommend, especially like season 4. If there's one episode I could recommend, Mindful Education.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
good. And then if you don't want to watch a full 5 season thing, Steven Universe Future on its own, oh my God, is so well crafted. Taught me so much about my own mental health too. Like you can
Hmm.
really tell that the writers are really trying to put out healing narratives for sure. And so
Hmm.
yeah, in Steven Universe Future, the episode Growing Pains is another one. Just for the listeners, if you want to know a little bit more about me. Yeah. That's a lot of
Awesome.
my heart space. Yeah. Thank
Awesome. I
you.
love it. Yeah. Oh, wow. This has already been such an amazing conversation. I want to thank you so much for sharing yourself with all of us. You're
Thank
such a
you.
beautiful soul. Um,
I echo that right back to you.
oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So I do want to sort of start to wrap up a little bit, but I wanted to find out from you, is there
Mhm.
anything that you'd like to share with our audience today? Anything that you'd like to put out into the world for others to hear?
Wow. Ooh. The affirmation arising in me is we are whole even as we grow. Yeah, I think I've spent so much time feeling as though like belongingness has been the biggest thing that's the biggest wound for me to try to kind of heal over. And I think that that's what it is. I've surrounded myself with so many people with whom I felt like I couldn't belong. I never felt whole in my own body. And so that's what I want to remind everybody today is we are whole even as we grow. WHOLE.
Yeah, oh, I love that
Yes.
message. And you're right. Everybody is perfect just the way they are. There's no need to fix or change anyone, and everybody is unique, and by design. That's for a reason, right? We
Yes.
all play a part in the world. We're all pieces of the puzzle, and there's no
Mhm.
wrong piece, right? Every single piece in a puzzle is just the way it's designed and made to be. And if it didn't, then it wouldn't fit in the puzzle, then we wouldn't have one.
Mm. I needed that. Yeah.
Oh,
We're all one piece of the puzzle. Oh, that hits different for me today.
oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Thank
Well,
you.
yeah, and thank you again for being with me today, Brittany Ann. It's been such a
Yes.
pleasure talking to you and hearing about your journey. So thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you, Amanda. It's been amazing. Yay.
I invite you to subscribe to the Embrace Balance Discover Joy podcast and join our community. If you feel inspired by what you hear, please leave a review and share this podcast with others who might benefit. And remember, it's never too late to embrace balance and discover joy in your life. Stay tuned for our upcoming episodes filled with inspiring stories and valuable insights. Until next time, take care and be kind to yourself.